I need to tell you something while I still can. For 40 years, I chased something I thought mattered. I believed in it completely. I organized my entire life around it. And now, sitting in this apartment alone, I can see exactly what it cost me. I didn't waste my life on drugs or gambling or anything you'd recognize as obviously destructive. That might have been easier to explain. What I chased was respect, professional respect, the kind that comes from being known as someone serious, someone dedicated, someone who doesn't quit. I was a civil engineer. I designed water systems, drainage projects, infrastructure for growing cities. Important work that actually helped people, even if they never knew my name. I took pride in that. I still do, in a way. But somewhere along the line, the work stopped being about the work. It became about proving I was the kind of man who could handle anything. When I was 32, I got assigned to a project that was falling apart. The previous engineer had left halfway through. The budget was a mess, and the city officials were losing patience. My boss asked if I could step in. I said yes immediately. I didn't even think about it. That's the kind of opportunity you don't turn down. Not if you want to be taken seriously. The project took 3 years. 3 years of 70-hour weeks, weekend calls, emergency meetings. I missed my daughter's 4th birthday. I missed it because I was in a trailer on site, arguing with a contractor about soil compression rates. I remember my wife called me that night. She didn't sound angry. She sounded tired. She said our daughter had asked where Daddy was, and she told her I was working on something important. My daughter apparently nodded like she understood. I told myself I'd make it up to her. I really believed that. The project finished. It came in under budget. I got a commendation from the city. My boss shook my hand and said I'd saved his reputation. I felt like I'd arrived, like I'd proven something essential about who I was. 2 months later, there was another crisis. Different project, same story. Someone needed to fix it, and I was a guy who could. So I did. Then another, and another. I became the person they called when things went wrong. That became my identity. I wore it like a badge. At industry meetings, people knew my name, not because I was brilliant, but because I was reliable. I was the man who solved problems, who didn't complain, who got it done. My wife's name was Catherine. We'd met in college. She was studying literature, and I used to joke that we balanced each other out. She cared about beauty, I cared about function. Early in our marriage, she used to leave me notes, little things, tucked into my lunch or slipped into my briefcase, quotes from poems mostly, small observations about her day. I'd read them and feel this warmth, like I was connected to something good. I don't remember when she stopped writing them. It wasn't sudden. It just faded out. the way a lot of things did. By the time I was 45, I was senior engineer at the firm. I had a reputation. Younger engineers looked up to me. I was invited to speak at conferences. I told myself this was what success looked like. This was what it meant to build a life. My son was 14. Quiet kid, thoughtful. He played guitar, spent a lot of time in his room writing songs that he never showed anyone. I knew this about him the way you know facts, distant, second-hand. Catherine told me these things. I'd nod, say something about how that was good, how it was important for him to have hobbies. One night he asked if I wanted to hear something he'd been working on. I was at the kitchen table with project drawings spread out in front of me. I told him maybe later. I was in the middle of something. He said okay and went back upstairs. Later never came. He stopped asking. I thought I was teaching them something valuable. I thought I was showing my kids what it meant to be responsible, to commit to something, to not give up when things got hard. I thought they'd understand when they were older. My daughter got married when she was 26. I walked her down the aisle. I gave a toast at the reception. People laughed at the right moments. I felt like I'd done my part. But when I think back to that day, I can't remember a single real conversation I had with her. Not one moment where we actually talked, where I asked her how she felt, or what she was afraid of, or what she hoped for. I knew she worked in marketing. I knew she'd met her husband at a conference. I knew surface things, the kind of information you'd put in a Christmas letter. I didn't know her. Catherine got sick when I was 68. Breast cancer. It came back after the first round of treatment, aggressive and fast. I retired to take care of her. That sounds noble, but the truth is I didn't know what else to do. Work had been my language for so long that I didn't know how to communicate any other way. I drove her to appointments. I made sure she took her medications on time. I organized everything like it was a project I could manage my way through. I thought if I just stayed on top of the details, if I kept everything running smoothly, that would be enough. She died on a Tuesday morning in October. I was holding her hand. She was unconscious by then, had been for 2 days. But right before, when she could still talk, she said something I haven't been able to stop thinking about. She said, "You were always so far away." Not angry, not accusing, just sad, stating a fact. I wanted to tell her she was wrong. I wanted to explain everything I'd done, every reason I'd worked so hard, every sacrifice I'd made. But I couldn't, because somewhere deep down, I knew exactly what she meant. I had been far away. For 40 years, I'd been far away. After she died, the house felt enormous. All these rooms we lived in, filled with objects we'd accumulated, and none of it meant anything. I go into my son's old bedroom and see posters still on the walls from when he was a teenager, bands I'd never heard of, a whole inner life I'd never asked about. My kids came to the funeral. They were kind. They hugged me and said the right things. But there was a distance there that I'd created, brick by brick, missed moment by missed moment. We weren't strangers, but we weren't close. We were family in name, bound by biology and shared history, but not by real knowledge of each other. I see them maybe 3 times a year now, holidays mostly. We make small talk. They tell me about their jobs, their kids. I listen and nod. Sometimes I'll offer advice they didn't ask for, out of habit more than anything. They're polite about it, but I can feel it. I can feel how I'm not really a part of their lives. I'm someone they check in on, out of obligation, and maybe a vague sense of affection for who they needed me to be when they were children. But I'm not someone they call when something important happens. I'm not someone they think to share things with. I did that. I built that distance. The respect I chased, the professional reputation I worked so hard for, it didn't follow me into retirement. The firm hired someone else. The projects I worked on are still there, still functioning, but nobody thinks about who designed them. That commendation from the city is in a box somewhere in my closet. I haven't looked at it in years. None of it stayed with me. But the cost of chasing it, that stayed. I can't get those years back. I can't go back to my daughter's 4th birthday, or the night my son wanted to play me his song. I can't have the kind of marriage where 2 people actually know each other, where presence matters more than competence. Catherine is gone. My kids have their own lives, and I'm barely a part of them. And I'm 87 years old, which means I don't have time to rebuild anything. This is it. This is what I get. I'm not telling you this because I want pity. I'm telling you because I spent 40 years believing a lie. And maybe if you hear this, you won't do the same thing. The lie was that later would come, that there would be time to connect after I'd proven myself, that the people I loved would wait, would understand, would still be there when I finally decided to show up. But later is a place you never actually arrive at. It just keeps moving further away until one day you realize it's behind you and you missed it completely. If you have people in your life who matter to you, be with them. Not physically present while your mind is somewhere else. Actually be there. Listen when they talk. Ask questions. Let yourself be unproductive and inefficient and imperfect. Because I promise you, whatever you think you're building, whatever you think you're proving, it won't keep you company when you're old. It won't sit with you in a quiet house. It won't call you just to see how you're doing. Only people do that, and only if you've given them a reason to. I know my time is running out. I can feel it. And the strangest part is that I'm not afraid of dying. What I'm afraid of is that I'll be forgotten quickly, easily, because I never gave anyone enough of myself to miss. That's what I wasted 40 years building, a life that won't be missed.